Hello everyone, welcome to another Python tutorial series. In today's video, I'm going to make a Jackpot game in Python using Ursina Engine, and I hope you like it. So first, let's import the modules and create a window with a shallow green color. So we first want to import our modules. So from Ursina import star, and from random import randint. Now to set up our basic window, we could write at Ursina window.color. So we'll set the window's color equal to color.rgb. And we'll set it to 128, 255, 128. And to run it, we could write app.run. So if I save and run this, now we have a window open and with a background that is kind of a shallow green color. So now let's create our Jackpot machine, and what I could do is create a machine entity. So this would be equal to entity, I'll set the model equal to a quad, I'll set the scale equal to 10, 8, so 10 on the x, 8 on the y, and the texture to an image in my assets folder called jackpot.png. And lastly, I'll set the z position equal to -0.1. So if I save and run this, we now see a Jackpot machine on our window. So now let's load in our slot images and put them in a list. So now we have an images list, and we'll keep track of all of our slot images. So we'll have a coin image, we'll have a diamond image, diamond PNG, and we'll have a star image, star PNG. So now we have 3 images. So each of these 3 images are going to be 1 for each of the 3 slots. Now before creating the slot entities and showing them, let me use this diagram to show you how this game will work. So we can see there are 3 columns in the diagram, slot 1 on the left, slot 2 in the middle, and slot 3 on the right. And each column has 3 images that lays down vertically. The order is the same for the 3 slots, and they are coin, diamond, and star from the top to the bottom. Only that the second column is 1 spot lower than the first, and the third column is 1 spot lower than the second one. So this is the initial state of the Jackpot when it is not running, and the 3 images in the black boxes are what we are going to see for the 3 slot windows. Then when we push a button, which we'll create later, the images in each column will start to move down. So once the coin is the last image in the slot window, and no image is above it, like in slot 3, the lowest image, in this case, the star will go up and sit above the coin image. So this process will repeat itself to make sure that the 3 images will take turns to appear at the slot window. So now we'll create the entities for the 3 slots, and each slot has 3 entities, so we'll have 9 entities in total. So for our slots underneath this machine entity, so slot 1, 0 is equal to entity model equal to, I'll set the model equal to a quad. I'll set the scale equal to 1, 1. The texture equal to textures equal to images 0. The x equal to -2.5. And the y equal to 1.8. Slot 1, 1 is equal to duplicate, so I'll duplicate it. Duplicate slot 1, 0, so the texture equal to images 1. And set the y position equal to 0.6. Slot 1, 2 will duplicate slot 1, 0, the texture images 2, and set the y position equal to -0.6. Now for slot 2, for slot 2, 0, let me just copy and paste this. This would be slot 2, 0. Slot 2, 0. Entity model 2 quad scale 1, 1. Texture image is 0. The x position is going to be negative 0.4. And the y will be 0.6. So slot 2, 1 will be equal to duplicate slot 20. Texture, which image is 1. And the y will be negative 0.6. Slot 2, 2 will be another duplicate. I'll just copy this part. And this would be, the y position will be negative 1.8. Now we do the same thing for our third slot. I'll copy this, paste it here, change these to 3s, change this to 3, 0. And this x position for slot 3, 0 should be 1.7. And the y should be negative 0.6. Now for slot 3, 1, this y position should be negative 1.8. Negative 1.8. And for slot 3, 2, the y should be negative. There should be just one negative sign. Should be negative 3. So negative 3. So when we run, we should see a star, diamond, and coin from the left to the right. So if I run this, we have a star, diamond, and coin. And the other two images for each of the 3 slots are not visible for now. So now we can put these 3 entities, or just put these entities into a list for each slot for later use. So I'll create 3 lists with 3 entities each. So slots 1 will be equal to a list of slot 1, 0, slot 1, 1, and slot 1, 2. Slots 2 will be equal to a list of slot 2, 0, slot 2, 1, and slot 2, 2. Slots 3 will be equal to a list of slots, or slot 3, 0, slot 3, 1, and slot 3, 2. So next we want to create a button so that each time it is pressed, the machine will be running and different images will show in the slots. So I'll create my button down here. And this would be a button. So also the text of the button equal to an empty string. Set the color equal to color.rgba 0000. Set the icon equal to an image in my assets folder, which is button.png. And set the scale equal to 0.2, the x to 0.4, and the y equal to negative 0.35. And now if I save and run this, I have a button in the lower right. And if I try to click it, nothing happens yet. So we need to implement that function later. And to make that button clickable, what we want to do is have some trigger for it. So first let's define a function that will be called each time the button is clicked. So at the very top, I'll define a function called go. I'll have a global run variable, set run equal to true. And I'll just make a variable called run. I'll set run equal to false. So here we create a global variable run and set it as false at the beginning. And when the function is called, the run variable will be true. So this will just show that the button has been clicked, and we will run the machine. So now that the function is created, how do we call it? Well, all we need to do is after our button, we call b, which is our button variable, the onClick, equal to go. So every single time we click the button, the function go will be called and triggered. So next we'll create the update function to make the Jackpot run. So I'll go back to the top, and define an update function. Define update. I'll call global run. Check if run. And I'll leave it blank for now. And the update function will run automatically for every frame. And for the machine to run, we need to assign speed for the slots. So we'll create 3 global speed variables for each of the 3 slots. So down here, I'll set speed 1 equal to speed 2 equal to speed 3 and set that equal to 0. So now in both the update and go functions, I'll call global speed 1, speed 2, and speed 3. So global speed 1, speed 2, speed 3. And in this go function, I'll set speed 1 equal to speed 2 equal to speed 3 and set that equal to 2. So at the beginning, the speed is going to be 0 for all 3 slots, and when the button is clicked, the speed will become 2. So now we'll make the machine run when the button is clicked. So let's make this happen for one slot first. So now we can actually remove this pass, and we want to iterate. So for I slot and enumerate slots 1, we'll set slot.y, and we'll subtract speed 1 times time.dt, multiplied by time.dt. And so when we run and click the button, we'll see the left slot should change images because the image will be moving down. So if I save and run this, if I click this button, now we saw the left slot, the image was changing. But once all the 3 images are below the slot, there's nothing left in the slot. And now we need boundary checking for the images so that they can move up. They can move up once they're below a certain level. So now we can add our boundary checking. Let me close this. And I want to check if slot.y is less than -3. Then I can set slot.y equal to slots 1 minus 2 dot y plus 1.2. So what does this do? Well, it brings the image up once it's below the position y -3. So the position it will be at is the position of the image that is 2 index ahead of it plus 1.2. So if I save and run this, and now I click the button, we should see that all 3 images repeatedly show up at the slot, and they don't stop. We don't want the images to run infinitely. What we want is after a certain amount of loops, the movement will stop, and we'll have 1 image show up at the slot. And to do this, we need to create a global variable. Let's call it, let me close this. Let's create a global variable down here. Let's call it m1 and set it equal to 0. So now in our update and go functions, we can call global m1, and in our go function, we could set m1 equal to 0. And this variable will count how many loops the image chain has run. We'll also need another global variable to tell the machine how many loops to run before it stops. And this variable is going to be a random integer number. So let's call global m1 and mm1. And again, this is, we're going to tell the machine how many loops to run before we stop it. So this is going to be mm1. And in this go, we can set mm1 equal to randint 311. So now let's implement this movement stopper in the update function. So in here, every single time this if statement is called, set m1 and increase it by 1. Now we could check if m1 is equal to mm1, we'll set speed 1 equal to 0. So that will stop the speed once we reach a certain random number of loops. So I'll run this. I'll click this button. And now we just need to wait. And now we saw that the jackpot, the machine, stopped on a star. So I could try to run this again. And now we stopped on a button. Well, not a button, we stopped on a coin. So now we can set M1 equal to M2 equal to M3 equal to 0. And now in order to find our go function, we have M1, M1, now we can include M2, M3, M1, M2, and M3. Now we need to make sure we set M1 in our go function. So M1 equal to M2 equal to M3 equal to 0. And now we can set MM2 equal to rand int 311, MM3 equal to rand int 311. Now in our update function, we can also call M2, M3, MM2, MM3. And now in our update function again, we can copy and paste this loop. And instead of looping through slots 1, we'll loop through slots 2. So I'll change the slots 2. Oops, I'll go up, change the slots 2. I'll change this variable to j. So for j, slot and enumerate slots 2. Slot.y minus equal to speed 2. And if slot.y is less than -3, M2 increases by 1. Slots 2, and this would be j minus 2. Now if M2 is equal to MM2, we'll set speed 2 equal to 0. Now we will do this one more time for slots 3. I'll set this to L. And this would be speed 3, M3, slots 3, L minus 2, that y plus 2. And if M3 is equal to MM3, then we'll set speed 3 equals 0. So now if I save and run this, if I click this button, every single time we see that the image chain will run a few times and then eventually stop for all 3 slots. So we have 2 diamonds and a coin. So let me rerun this. And this time we have a star, a coin, and a diamond. So we have the machine running properly. So next, let's decide when a player wins. To do this, we need to create some more variables. So in our update function, let's create 3 variables, k1, k2, and k3. Now down here, we can set our k values. K1 is equal to k2 is equal to k3 is equal to 0. And now in our update function, we want to set k1 equal to k1 plus mm1. Down here, we want to check when m2 is equal to mm2. We'll set k2 equal to k2 plus mm2. And k3 is equal to k3 plus mm3. So then we'll create 3 more variables. And then this is our update function. So global. So we have a global run. So we'll have a global run 1, run 2, and run 3. And in our go function, we'll have a run 1 as well, run 2, and run 3. So when we set run equal to true in our go function, we'll set run 1 equal to run 2 equal to run 3 equal to false. So now in our update function, once we set our speeds inside of this if statement. We'll set run 1 equal to true. We'll set run 2 equal to true. And we'll set run 3 equal to true. And so run 1, run 2, and run 3 will tell us if any of the 3 slots have stopped running. If it does, the variable will be true. Otherwise, it will be false. So how do we decide if a player wins? Well, the rule is that when we have 3 of the same image appear on all the slot windows, the player will win. So if we translate that into math, and then into code, it gets something like this. So at the end of this if statement and outside the loops, we want to check if run 1 and run 2 and run 3 and k1 mod 3 is equal to k2 mod 3 is equal to k3 mod 3, then that's how we know that a player has won. But when a player wins, what will happen is that we want money to pour down from the top. So we'll need to create a money entity first. And so we'll create it so that it's going to be above the window, so we won't be able to see it yet. So I have a money entity, so the mod equal to a quad, scale equal to 10, 8, and set the texture equal to assets, money.png. I set the z equal to negative 0.15 and the y equal to 10. And so now we'll make money pour down when the player wins. So in this if statement that we created earlier, I'll set money.y, subtract time by dt minus 3 or times 3. And in our define go, we will set money.y equal to 10. So now that the game is, or basically, once we set money.y equal to 10, that's resetting the money position whenever the button is clicked. So now that the game is completed, it's a bit long and complicated compared to the other games I've developed. So let's see if it works. So let's run this. And the chance to win the game is 1 out of 27, so that's less than 4%. So we need to click the button many times before we actually win. So once we do win, we should see money pouring down from the top. So I'll keep rolling until we get a match of all 3. So now that we won, we saw that there are coins coming from the top of the screen all the way to the bottom. So this is the end of this video. If you have any comments, please put them below at the comment section. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.